Hello, I'm Scott Brown, and I have the honor of representing Massachusetts in the United States Senate. Last Sunday night, we heard President Obama deliver the message that Americans have been waiting for since September 11th, 2001. It's a very rare thing when so many people across the world observe the loss of life with something other than regret. But this man, the late Osama bin Laden, had chosen his fate long before in a life filled with cruelty. If he expected mercy when our forces found him, that was asking much more than he was ever known to give. This was a man who rejoiced in the suffering and death of others, who set in motion all of the horror and grief of 9/11 and considered it just a start. He was a teacher of evil, and now for him, the lesson is over. It ends not in the fulfillment of some fanatical vision, but in the depths of the Arabian Sea. None of this can compensate for the murder of bin Laden's victims, nor will it ease the sorrow of those who still mourn, but it sure counts for something. And it's always a victory when justice has the final word. Bin Laden's killing was the result of coordinated efforts going back many years. It was the dramatic conclusion of patient intelligence gathering begun long before, and the work of a military that is second to none. The operation was a model of sustained, concentrated military action, and the example will not be lost on other terrorists. Any escape they make will be temporary. Any sanctuary they find will be uncovered. Those who harm or threaten the American people will be dealt with on our terms, however long it takes. This was the pledge of President George W. Bush in the days after 9/11. And he kept it in 7 years of relentless, decisive action against the al-Qaeda network. In the case of bin Laden, it fell to President Obama to give the final order. He did so calmly, swiftly, and decisively. It was a fine moment for our Commander-in-Chief and for our country. Above all, this past week has reminded us of the skill and special courage of those who choose to take on the toughest missions in service to America. Our combat forces are the ones we call when the need is the greatest. They give their all and seek no special praise for what they do. They're the best we have. And what great news it was on Sunday night that the mission to kill bin Laden succeeded and every man came back safely. The men and women of the armed services have sacrificed so much already in the war on terror. And as much as we all wish it could be ended as suddenly as and as permanently as the career of bin Laden, the war goes on. And it still demands our attention and our commitment to victory. The troop surge of last year has made a difference in Afghanistan, and we can't surrender those gains to what's left of the Taliban. Early in the conflict, America and our allies devastated the al-Qaeda network in Afghanistan. Yet al-Qaeda is still at work. And that is why we need to prepare the Afghan security forces to protect their own people. We must ensure that Afghanistan does not once again become a sanctuary for terrorists. After so many years, there's a temptation to despair of ever gaining a final victory against our enemies. But if we've learned anything this past week, it's that our patient commitment to even the hardest objectives will be rewarded. We all heard it said that bin Laden was beyond our reach, in some remote corner of the earth, and after almost a decade, we could surely never find him. Let me tell you, it's always a mistake to bet against American resourcefulness and determination. These qualities led us to the man who started this war. They will lead us to victory in that war. And as always, the credit will belong to the skill and raw courage of the armed forces of the United States of America. May God bless them all, and may He always watch over the country they serve. This is Senator Scott Brown. Thank you for listening.